I don't think so. I think some. I really don't. I think at Washington State, we got some guys that really developed that would have done fine here. Probably were able to recruit a little higher ranked player because of the ACC, and then you have some advantages where how the academic prowess of Virginia, but didn't change too much. I think it was just a matter of knowing that you're gonna need guys that'll stick with it. You look at geographically, but at Washington State, we got guys from all over, and that sometimes makes it a little easier for guys to leave if it's not going well. So you try to keep that in mind. But I don't think we've changed too much and didn't have to adjust. It's just trying to find the best players that fit. So I'm trying. It's a fair question, but not much has changed. Which maybe like I said, our recruiting class was ranked a little higher, and you know what I feel about that. But the same kind of guys. And I think this school, this conference, allowed us to probably go after more, and probably could get a little higher rated, more talented guy than at least initially at Washington State.
Tony, Malcolm was so consistently productive down the stretch in the regular season and then he was off a little bit in the first game in Greensboro. Seemed he got a little better the second game, and then obviously
Yeah.
he really locked in. Between games 2 and 3 there, did you say anything to him, or did you feel he kind of corrected himself?
I mean, he's a competitor. I remember whenever he's had an off game or two, he usually bounces back. But we did sit down and talk after. I can't remember if it might have been the Florida State game, or maybe it was the Pitt. I forget. But just said, we need you. And I said the strength of this team has been, your consistency, but also the strength has been when you've had someone's been off a little bit. Other guys have stepped up, but heading into to try to get what we want, we're all going to have to be at a high level. And I knew he'd respond, and I just wanted to challenge him, encourage him, and kind of tell him. I think it was just let it come a little bit, because it was against Pittsburgh, where it was the Pittsburgh game, I think, where he was forcing it a little bit, driving baseline, or maybe it was the Florida State. I know he didn't shoot it well, but we just talked about letting it come, but not losing his aggressiveness. So it wasn't anything major, but he has a composure too. And he's clutch down the stretch. You see that when he steps to the line, and how he plays with the big drive or the big basket, big free throws. So we needed him to step up, and he did have a good one, as did most of the guys.
Maybe it's because he's so big and strong, but you don't necessarily think of him as athletic or quick, but yet he seems to get by his guy with the ball. Is he
Yeah.
a lot quicker than maybe
Yeah,
you at first?
well, he's quick with the ball in his hands, and in power. I mean, different guys. You got those guys who are jet quick, who are shot out of a cannon, but guys, we look at our perimeter guys. There's some physicality, and I think Malcolm's one of those guys. If he gets a little bit of a step on you or a little bit of an angle, and he puts it on the floor aggressively, he's hard to take off his drive line, and he can get in there. And with that explosiveness, he's a little more explosive and powerful than I'd say lightning quick. That's what he is, but that's in physical games, and how defenses play. That's a valuable thing. I think that's been good for all of our perimeter guys.
Tony, Joe said yesterday that you guys still haven't played your best basketball. What can you do better? And as you've moved from non-conference to ACC and then postseason, what kind of incremental improvements have you seen?
Well, I think I think it came together at a pretty high level against Duke last night or yesterday. Sure, there's always areas we could make more free throws and do certain things, but I think when we have all the guys, which is close to what we had playing at that level, that's when we're at our best. And I don't think we did that against Florida State, as Jeff we were talking about. Malcolm was a little off. Or maybe even Pittsburgh. We were a little sloppy at times with some of the turnovers. Otherwise, it was a well-played or a hard-fought game, but I think some of those turnovers made it sloppy. And then against Duke, I think, you guys were there. It was a real intense game. And I think, you look at Mike stepped up. Everybody gave a lift and played at a solid level. So I think that was what we're looking for on both ends of the floor. And I think continuing to be that way and play with that intensity and that desire to to stop teams, get the shots, answer when other teams make big buckets. That's putting it together in the right way on the glass. I think we were very physical yesterday, and that was important to us. I mean, to get those rebounds and get to the line, that was for us, I thought, a game changer.
You've had some pretty heady stuff to kind of deal with this year with a 33-year streak to 38-year streak. I imagine once you started in the ACC tournament with games every day, it's kind of easy to stay locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Being a number one seed, that's pretty heavy stuff too, with 5 days before you play again. How do you kind of keep them from being too impressed with that and just staying focused on what you guys have done all year?
Yeah, I mean, it's knowing the competition, respecting the game, respecting your opponent. I think you wanna know who you are. It goes back to the pillars. I know we talk about that a lot, but that's what we talked about before the game. It was kind of the message actually that you mentioned it before the game in the pregame. I said, well, here we are. We're here playing for a championship. And I said there's more people lined from the lobby to the bus going to the game. And I said there's a lot of excitement. And I said don't let anybody put you on a pedestal. I said stay faithful to the pillars of this program, to who you are as a team, the formula that's gotten you here. And that's what we talked about, that ability to stay faithful to that kind of thing. And I think it's the same message again. And they, you saw it in their eyes. To me, as I talked about, the great joy was in the game. But the other thing I enjoyed was just kind of standing back and watching those guys cut down the net, watching them cheer for each other when they got introduced, when Joe got the MVP, when the other guys got it, listening to him in the huddles, Akil urging his teammates on, this is fun, this is what it's out, dig deep. Those are the things that I like. And I think they did enjoy the moment, and they enjoyed the process during it. But now I think, all right, start over, get back to it, and prepare for obviously a fun ride hopefully coming up.
The last time you guys were in the tournament, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember what you were seeded, but I think you were.
It was the 7-10 game with Florida.
You were probably the underdog.
Yeah.
Now you're the number one seed. What's the kind of is there more pressure? What's the kind of mindset of being a number one seed?
Yeah, I mean, you work hard, I guess, to get it. I think seeding is a little overrated with the parity that we've talked about before, but just getting as ready as you can, and that mindset of, I mean, you're not going to overlook anybody. Everybody's capable, but you've positioned yourself to play the kind of basketball we did in the ACC tournament, trying to carry it on and be ready. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little different because we really were limping in 3 years ago.
6.5 men, right?
Yeah, 6.5 men, right. And we we're at a different place, so I think it's hard to make a comparison. I know we were excited to get in. The other thing I said too, after we watched the selection show, I just reminded the guys. I said, "You remember last year when we watched the selection show?" I said, "Remember us sitting there hoping that we were going to get in, thinking we were on the bubble maybe, and that feeling of it wasn't quite there." I'll be thankful for what you just experienced, but don't lose sight of that and how fortunate we are and how hungry you got to remain. And that was kind of a reality check as well.
How remarkable is it, and maybe your teams at Washington State were like this too, but a play here or there, and 4 of your guys could have been most outstanding player.
Yeah, that's the team this year. Yeah, I mean, you look at Akil's defensive performance in that game. That was a special one for sure, but that's the balance, that's the depth, that's what makes a team have a chance to win a championship like they just experienced. So, of course, I would have had a hard time picking that one, and I'm glad Joe got it though. But I'm glad the other guys got recognized. And did Akil? Anthony. Okay, yeah, I was kind of, like I said, I was just taking and watching their expressions. I wanted to make sure that they got that. Mike gave us a big lift. London gave us a lift. Justin gave, I can go down. Darian against Florida State. That's it. So.
Tony, I know you were asked a bunch about him this weekend, but what do you think this weekend will do for Anthony?
Yeah,
Did you feel like he kind of took that next step in his development maybe this weekend?
Yeah, he was a warrior on the glass yesterday. Again, that was significant for us. And then the game before, he gave us great lift. Yeah, anytime you can experience some success and kind of continue to find your niche, I think that's helpful. And he showed some ability to manufacture his own offense, some of those baseline spins, fall aways, but he was assertive. But But all of these guys, that's the beauty of this year's team up to this point. They've all bought into their role to do whatever it takes, and that I feel like I repeat that a lot, but that's what's good, and I think they have an understanding. But it should help Anthony and continue to boost his confidence and make him assertive and play the right way for us.
In that vein, Mike Toby too. I guess was that a matchups thing too? With Duke, you had a size advantage, and do you kind of see going forward, especially maybe against a Coastal Carolina? I haven't looked at their roster yet, but maybe Mike, that the size can be an advantage against a school like that.
Yeah, no, Mike's such an important part. You saw what he did against Syracuse and his ability. He was, again, assertive on the glass, got us off to we could get it inside. Pitt, they really came at it. We couldn't get much inside scoring except off the bounce and in different ways, but the way Mike played was important. And when you have a 6'11", 7-foot guy that is a threat and rebounds like that and can match up, that's a nice weapon to have. Then obviously we got the other guys too, but I was happy to see that. And again, going forward, of course, he starts for us, and I think that's you just look at how the game's going and where your strengths are and just go by the flow.
How well do you know Cliff Ellis, and what do you make of a guy who's this is 14
Yeah.
in the tournament?
Yeah.
What do you make of that? What do you
Yeah, he probably won't remember me, but I was a sophomore, I think, and our Green Bay team went to Clemson and played them, and one of our players went up to block. I think Dale Davis' shot came down and he broke his navicular in his hand and missed that year. And we were really good that year, a guy named Larry Hill. But going to Clemson, I remember playing against his team. Obviously, he's been a successful coach. His team has won at Coastal Carolina. I know you asked about Coach, so I'll talk about him, but very successful, knows how to win. He's built that team, and good guards, complete. They defend well, so certainly have the respect for him. But yeah, that's a long time ago when we went and played when I was a player and he was coaching.
Can you take us through the coaching perspective of preparing for the next opponent on such short notice? Because that's the first time it's happened in the past couple of years.
Yeah, well, I guess it is a little different than the ACC tournament because you've seen those teams and played. But similar to when we played in the Corpus Christi tournament, you find out at least the next, and there's not even a day in between to prepare if you're fortunate to advance. So you look at it, we've got this week to prepare for Coastal Carolina. If you're fortunate enough to advance like everybody's doing, you have your staff. Staff is crucial in all this stuff of preparing for them. But I think you got to prepare, but it's about you and how you're playing. And you got to know what you need to know and understand that, but you can't get so worried about your opponent that you forget what got you there. And I think that's the right balance for us. And with technology today, once they were selected, I've got a clip tape on my desk of, all right, here's their personnel, watch their clip tapes. You got every game they've played all year, and you start carving through that, looking at things just like they have of us, and get ready to go. And then, like I said, if you're fortunate enough, your assistants break, all right, who's got the next round, and you'll have that day to prep, and you just prepare to the best of your abilities.
Were you surprised you got such a late start time there and being the number 1 seed?
I don't know, not really. I didn't even give it. Actually, I didn't even know we played until today. At that time, I really didn't. Is it so?
On the West Coast.
Yeah. Were you? Yeah. Are you worried? Because you got you're sleep deprived with a new child. I understand. He's gonna be nodding off during the game. So.
Does it affect your preparation? Being starting so late.
We've played a couple two 9 o'clock games this year. So it's that's just how it is in the NCAA tournament. When we played a couple years ago, I think we were the first game. I played at 11 or 1 or so. I was an early game, but I think with TV in the ACC, you play at all different times. We played at noon, 2, 4, 1, 7, 9, 6. So you just adjust.
Did you think the moment got a little big for London yesterday? It seemed like in the second half he was a little shakier than maybe normal.
You had that uncharacteristic turnover where it went out of his hand. I think we're so used to him being almost flawless with the ball and with his decision making. So when you see it, but I wouldn't say the moment got too big. I just think there was that much intensity, and the game was being played with that kind of energy that there were some mistakes being made, and I just think that it was the intensity. And maybe he has a play he would like to have had back, but I thought he held up pretty well. But I think you're used to when he makes a mistake or when he turns it over, what's wrong with him, And the game is about you're going to make some errors when you're playing that hard. And the way they pressured us, I think that also had to do with Duke using their athleticism and trying to really climb into us. So that can cause a little bit more. But I thought he held in there pretty well. And fatigue started to become a factor. Those guys were you forget he's a true freshman. He's a true freshman. So cut the guy a break, jeez.
What impressed you about Coastal that you've seen so far? I don't know how much you've
Yeah, no, watching that, they defend well. They really do. 3 quality guards, good freshman guard, but 2 juniors, a veteran team, complete with their guards. They really score, and then their forwards or bigs are athletic, and just they get after it. I like how they've defended it well, and they can get out and go in transition. At times they've switched their defenses, but they've been real good on their man-to-man. And again, with the experience of their team and their coach, they know what they're doing.
Tony, Justin is such an energy guy for you, and kind of as the weekend went on, as you go forward, are you going to have to reel him in a little bit? I mean, I think Akil even described, I heard on the radio, said he's definitely a spark plug, but he could be annoying.
yes, that was in the press conference after. That was funny. You have to ask him, what do you mean by that? No.
To make sure he's not too
I think you have to do that with all your guys. You want them to play passionate, but with Justin, I think that's a strength of his. But as always, you guys talk about, got to be tied in with soundness and not, And I think he's improved that as the season's worn on. But I think you just watch, what he's doing. But he does bring that, the plays he makes, the hustle plays that have been well documented. But he ignites, he likes to slap the floor and get down there. I'm trying to make a correlation when we do that and slap the floor. It seems like they score on us most of those times, so maybe we got to stop that. I'm not sure. No, but I love that. I mean, I love that he's got that fire in him, and that's contagious. And I think we have a little more of that with the other guys too. Everybody shows it in different ways, but I think he'll be fine, and he's given us a great lift.
Any special congratulations from yesterday?
So many. I got so many wonderful texts. I tell you, it was neat when the ceremony on the floor was going on. I was just standing back there. As I said, I was taking it in, and all of a sudden I just caught my eye, and he didn't even see me, but he was standing there, and I saw Coach Holland. He was standing like behind where Duke's bench was, the basket over there, and I just saw him, and I actually asked Ethan Sleeb. I said, "Is that Coach Holland?" And I just saw him standing there kind of taking it in, and that was neat to just observe him off the court. But tons of people sent me, text messages and well wishes. I don't want to single out anybody because they're all real great. Yeah, I did get one from Wally, so he said it's good to have the company.